So, it's been a big week talking about Marvel and the MCU, obviously because of the news that Robert Downey Jr. will be playing Doctor Doom in Avengers Secret Wars. And of course, we got a bunch of other news from the MCU on top of that, some information on next year's movies, some information on directors like the Russo brothers coming back to direct the Avengers films. And next Friday, it appears we'll be getting an in-depth look at the upcoming slate of Marvel films over the next couple years at D23 Marvel. So in this video, I just wanted to go through and give my opinion on if I were the captain of Marvel, if I was Mr. Kevin Feige, what I would do, how I would lay out this schedule of movies. Now, I'm going to go over some stuff that already is previously announced and try to fill in some release dates, and I'm also going to throw out some stuff that's already been announced. So if there's movies or TV shows that I forget to talk about that have been announced and are happening, maybe I didn't forget to talk about them, maybe I just don't think they should be made. This is just for fun. Of course, I do not know better than Kevin Feige, which is why I'm here sitting in my room talking to all of you and not working at Marvel. So don't get too mad at me. But in my opinion, this is just what they should do. I'm going to be kind of going on a realistic format here, filling in some release dates that they do have already available, but I think the standard that they are planning to do is to have 3 movies per year and 2 TV shows. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go all the way through 2028, so the year after Secret Wars. So we can talk about the upcoming slate first, the stuff that's definitely coming out right now. Of course, we have Agatha All Along coming out later this year, a show that I am not very excited for. They should have canceled it right away, should have thrown it out the door, but of course it's coming. Maybe it'll be good. I was not a fan of the trailer. Captain America Brave New World in February, maybe the most expensive movie in the history of Marvel. I mean, the amount of reshoots and the amount of money that's been spent on this thing, it's gonna be a disaster. We all know it. The trailer's really cool, it looks good, but this movie has just been picked apart and ripped apart to hell. I don't see it ending up being a success, at least financially. Maybe it ends up quality-wise being okay, but we'll see. You have Thunderbolts in May of 2025, another movie I'm not very excited about. It's just kind of like the Suicide Squad, but Marvel. Fantastic Four in July of 2025. I'm more excited for this one, of course, because I love the Fantastic Four. It's been a very long time since we've gotten a great Fantastic Four movie. Arguably, we've never had a great one, so next year might be the one that ends up being great. We're also supposedly getting Ironheart sometime next year. This show filmed like 2 years ago, and we've just been kind of waiting on it, which makes me think it's not very good. But either way, it's coming next year. And then in November, we'll be getting Blade. Maybe, because this movie's in development hell. And this is my first thing. The first thing to do to fix the MCU, get Blade made. How has this movie been such a struggle to get off the ground? You have Mahershala Ali, one of the best actors working right now, today. One of the most sought-after actors. The guy oozes charisma, and you have him perfectly cast in this badass, amazing role. You are now allowed to make R-rated movies, Disney. You can make an R-rated Blade movie, have it be badass, dark, kind of emotional, get a great director and writer attached to this thing. I feel like this movie writes itself. I am willing to offer my services to write Blade. Now, of course, I have not written anything of substance or anything that you might have heard of, but I love Blade. I think it's a cool character, and Kevin Feige, my email is open. Please send me an email. I'm broke, please. I need the money. Please, Kevin. Blade could be so good, though. Like, I really hope they get this thing figured out before Mahershala Ali gets bored and decides not to do it. Then we go into 2026, and outside of the Avengers movies, we have nothing announced, so here's kind of my idea. So the first thing I would do early in 2026, in February, before the Avengers movie, is release a Scarlet Witch project. Now, of course, we're supposed to be getting a Vision Quest TV show focusing on Vision. I would scrap that, and I would combine whatever that was supposed to be with a Scarlet Witch thing and do kind of another WandaVision thing, except darker, more emotional, and in the big cinematic, multiversal type of movie that we should have honestly gotten in WandaVision. This would be a great movie. Maybe a movie about Scarlet Witch, you know, our Scarlet Witch traversing the multiverse, trying to get back to Earth 616 so she can get back to Vision, trying to find the White Vision. I think there is an interesting story to be told there. And of course, I think Scarlet Witch is going to be needed in the Avengers films, and I think we need to see her again before then. So this is a perfect time to release that film. I also think fans would be invested in it because they love this character. It's one of the few characters from the original set of Avengers movies that people are still very excited about. I forgot to mention it before, but we will be getting Daredevil Season 1 in 2025, and they're immediately going to be filming Season 2, so I expect it to release around the same time of 2026. Maybe this is a more Punisher-focused season. Either way, I expect to get another season of Daredevil right before Avengers. Then, of course, in 2026 in May, we will be getting Avengers Doomsday, the big movie starring Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom and all the big Avengers characters. I expect this to be Infinity War 2.0, aka a Part 1 to a much bigger Part 2 that'll come in the next year. After Doomsday, much like after Infinity War, I think we'll get movies focused on characters that were not maybe fully included into Avengers Doomsday. Some of the side stuff around the rest of the world. What's happening around the rest of the MCU while Doomsday Doomsday was going on. So first things first, in summer, I think we'll get a TV series about the Young Avengers, and I think this makes perfect sense to have this show come right in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, because my assumption is that at some part of Doomsday, a large team of Avengers are going to leave Earth and go into the multiverse to fight Doctor Doom. So who's on Earth protecting it at that point? Well, of course, the Young Avengers, Miss Marvel, Kate Bishop, a whole team of these young characters. We know they've been planning this series forever, and I think a fun show of these characters teaming up to maybe protect Earth from another threat while Doomsday's going on. Say maybe a recasted Kang, Coleman Domingo, coming in as Kang to face off against the Young Avengers. That could be cool. It could be something, and it's an obvious spot to do this in between the two Avengers movies. Will this be a movie or a series? I think it makes more sense to do it as a series. You have a lot of characters that the audience isn't particularly familiar with. I think it fits better as a series. Of course, also having 3 technical Avengers movies within a year period is a little crazy. In November of 2026, we're going to get Spider-Man 4. This one seems obvious. In 2026, we're going to be getting a Spider-Man movie. This seems like the perfect time to release it. Will Spider-Man not be in Doomsday? Will, he not be involved in that whole plot? I don't know. That means this one could be an early 2026 release. This could be the movie that comes out before Avengers Doomsday. That would make a lot of sense, but I still think they kind of follow the trend of releasing this near the end of the year and getting a big Spider-Man 4 film. What's it going to be about? Is it going to be a smaller Spider-Man movie, a big multiversal one? I don't know, but I see it coming sometime in 2026. In this video, let's just say the end of 2026. Going into 2027, I think early in 2027, I could see us getting a Doctor Strange threequel, a 3rd Doctor Strange movie. And yet again, does this mean Doctor Strange is not involved in Doomsday? I don't know. I don't know how that story is going to play out, but this will be about time that we actually get the 3rd Doctor Strange film, and I feel like we will need a follow-up before we get Avengers Secret Wars. Doctor Strange still being one of the more popular characters in the MCU and deserving of a much better film than was the Multiverse of Madness, so I hope they could do him justice in a 3rd film, get a better director. Well, we love Sam Raimi. Not a better director, but just get a more focused writer to create a plot that doesn't have to be this big universe-changing film, and plop it right between these 2 Avengers movies. I think people would be really happy about that. Also, before Secret Wars, I think we get Moon Knight Season 2. Yet again, don't know if he's going to be in Doomsday, but I think it is about time we get a 2nd season. I think a lot of people enjoyed Moon Knight, and of all the Marvel shows that have come out that we've talked about getting Season 2, I think this is the one that is most likely going to get that 2nd season outside of, Daredevil and the street level guys. I think a darker Moon Knight, R-rated season of television would be really, really awesome. I think people would dig it. Then, of course, we'll get Secret Wars in May of that year, a film that is going to change the MCU, a film that is going to almost reset the MCU. At the end of Secret Wars, I expect there to be a brand new timeline that has much of what we remember from the first 4 phases of the MCU, but definitely has kind of a clean slate to introduce new characters, maybe new versions of characters we've grown to love, and it just completely cleans the slate and allows Marvel to do stuff that they were not able to do as of right now. Following Secret Wars in the summer, I think we should finally get a sequel to Shang-Chi. This is one of the few great movies that they've made post-Endgame. Shang-Chi is an amazing movie, and I know everybody kind of wants to see this one, and I think we might get it sooner than this, but I definitely expect it at least around these 2 Avengers films. We will get the sequel to Shang-Chi after Secret Wars, and maybe he will be kind of the focal point of this new MCU. I also expect in the summer to get a Nova series, and this is a character that we know is coming, the character of Nova, and I expect his origins in this universe to be kind of a cause and effect from Secret Wars, that this version of Nova has risen because of something that had happened in that film, and I think this could be a great new character to introduce, especially if they cast somebody amazing like Ryan Gosling in the role, or some other A-list actor. This could be something that people really look forward to. Introduce a brand new character from the start of this new saga of the MCU that is interesting, and kind of get ahead of what they miscalculated after Endgame by not immediately introducing us to amazing new characters to sink our teeth into. Do a focused character story about this guy, Nova, in the larger MCU. I think in November of that year, we should get some sort of follow-up to Guardians of the Galaxy. It is still one of, if not the biggest franchise that Marvel currently has, so of course they're going to do something with it. Does that mean Guardians 4, or the new Guardians? What it is, I don't know. A Star-Lord focused TV show or movie? I have no idea. For this video's purposes, I'm just going to call it Guardians of the Galaxy 4, some sort of major Guardians project outside of the James Gunn versions of the characters. So a brand new sort of team with maybe some returning characters, but a lot of new characters in this brand new world post-Secret Wars. This is obviously going to happen at some point, and this is probably the perfect time for it to happen. In 2028, early in that year, I expect to get another season of Daredevil, because this is going to be probably the biggest property that the MCU has when it comes to television. People are going to love it. People are going to love the the new season of Daredevil, they're just really gonna dig it. So I think season 3 is going to come out early in that year. And then I have a bunch of movies. I don't really know about series that can come out in that year because it's a long time away. We don't know what the world's gonna look like then. We don't even know if we're gonna have a world in 2028. Let's just be honest. But I expect in that year to see a sequel to Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is going to be Marvel's probably biggest name franchise outside of maybe Spider-Man going forward post-Avengers. And if the first movie kicks ass, which I think everybody's expecting it does, it will get a sequel eventually, and I think a 3-year turnaround is about where you would expect to see the sequel. I could even see it being sooner. I could even see this movie releasing at some point in 2027 and them doing a 2-year turnaround because Fantastic Four is that popular and that big of a brand. But definitely within 3 years, 2028, you will get the sequel to Fantastic Four. And then we have one that I'm not so sure is going to happen. Mainly because I don't know if Sony will allow it to happen, but God, we need an R-rated movie called Deadpool and Spider-Man. I mean, come on, this is like the obvious thing to do with Deadpool 4, the obvious direction to go with another Deadpool movie. We've seen it with Wolverine. Now we have to see him with Spider-Man. I think we will get these characters interacting in Avengers, maybe not in their own movie, because it would have to be R-rated for it to really work. Is Sony willing to do an R-rated Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland? I do not know, but God, I hope this is what we get next from Deadpool. Also in 2028, I think we will be getting another Black Panther, whether it is a threequel or some sort of reboot in the new MCU, I do not know, but we will be getting something from Wakanda. It will have been about 6 years at that previous Deadpool, since the previous Black Panther movie, and 10 years since the first one, so I think it is right to get the third one around that time, maybe even sooner than that. I think we will be getting something out of Wakanda. We know Ryan Coogler's working on something. Maybe this is it. Coming in 2028, I think we will be getting the big, long-awaited Marvel X-Men movie, the MCU's X-Men. What is this movie going to be? Is it going to be some sort of continuation of the animated show? Is it going to be some sort of continuation of one of the Fox versions of the characters? Or is it going to be a brand new X-Men movie with brand new characters, brand new cast members, a new Professor X, a new Magneto, a new Wolverine? What are they going to do? That is a question we need answered. I'm sure we will have it answered within the next few years, maybe even next week at their D23 event, but I think 2028 post-Avengers is the perfect time in this new mutant era of the MCU to introduce your brand new X-Men, the big X-Men event film. And last but not least, I have one extra movie. I want to see, after Avengers Secret Wars, after Doomsday, a Doctor Doom movie, but not a Doctor Doom movie starring Robert Downey Jr. I want there to be some sort of twist in this new MCU where there is a version of Doctor Doom that now exists in the MCU that is Victor Von Doom, that is an original, amazing take on this character that is not just a Tony Stark variant. Might be wishful thinking. But Doctor Doom is my favorite villain in the MCU comics. I would love to see Cillian Murphy be cast as the character and get a solo movie post-Secret Wars to be the big bad of the MCU going forward, but in a different way than he is going to be the big bad in these next two movies. In these next two movies, he's the big bad, but in a very, very weird MCU-ish multiverse way. I would like to see a general kind of regular Doctor Doom being a Earth-level threat to the MCU Avengers after Secret Wars. But that's it. That's just all the stuff that I would do. I know there's a bunch of stuff that's announced that is probably coming out, like Armor Wars and Wonder Man. I didn't talk about because I don't want to see any of that. Get rid of all of it. But that's pretty much what I would do if I was in charge. I think most of this will be made eventually. A lot of it, maybe not so much. Like, I think Deadpool and Spider-Man is probably wishful thinking. But what do you think about the future of the MCU, the potential future of the MCU, and what movies and TV shows do you want to see to sort of resurrect this franchise? Let me know down below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more, turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next one.